Now, I didn't know about Kira TV up until like maybe a couple of months ago, and I'm really liking what he's doing with certain games. I never watched these videos, and you guys linked these videos to me, and I didn't even know that he made a video on Star Citizen, let alone 2 videos, one of which is going to be like 48 minutes long. So yeah, take a seat, get some water. It's going to be a long one, but it's going to be fun.
Okay.
Anyway.
Today, we're talking about Star Citizen, which it might get a little bit controversial up in here. It might get a little bit controversial in the comment section. But I do want to talk about this. It does seem like it's a fairly interesting and large story. There's quite a drama going on with this at the moment, with the community quite split on how to react to this one. And I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, we're going to go over it. We can always play in my community Discord.
I'll forgive you if you've not been keeping up with Star Citizen as much, because of course at this stage, if you had been keeping up with it, you'd be a decade older. You'd have read thousands of hours of interviews, watched thousands of hours of video, potentially played the game for thousands of hours. And obviously I haven't done that. So if I get something wrong, I am just talking about this from my perspective, from what I know, in my opinion. And I am fully willing to admit that I'm not the most in tune with what's gone on with the project.
All right, so that's a good start. He admits that he's an outsider and that this is his point of view, even though he's not completely like in Star Citizen. He doesn't know everything that they ever said.
I know some stuff. I've watched some videos,
That's cool.
Read some interviews. But if I do get something wrong that was clarified on a forum post 7 years ago somewhere, then you will have to let me know, and that's totally fine. I accept it. But I do just want to talk about this. So CIG posted a roadmap roundup, and it seems to have got people quite upset. Now, what could get the community of Star Citizen quite upset?
Oh, is this when they called us noise?
I think most people at this stage are quite apathetic to what's going on. Most people are just willing to accept the fact that it's done when it's done, and we're just going to wait. And then obviously on some fringe sides, you've got people that are really upset, that want to get their money out and they want to just call the game a scam, etc, etc. And then on the other side, you've got people that will defend literally anything. So on this topic, we have a lot of Group A and Group B here, and some people in the middle.
Yeah, it is.
That are looking at it and saying this is an issue. So particularly what got people...
This was, like, honestly, this was a really bad move by CAG. Really, like... There's 2 things about the whole like noise thing. First of all, how they addressed the situation and how they told us that like they don't care about us and the noise that we make, basically. Like just calling us noise was bad. And the second thing is removing the next patch, even though most of us knew that they will not deliver the things from the roadmap for the like not the first patch that we're going to get, but the next one. So for example, if the roadmap, if you're new to the game, if the roadmap stayed like it did, we would see 3.19 and then 4.0. Like we would see everything that they want to have in 4.0. In the end, it wouldn't be the same. Like once they release 4.0, it will be probably like different stuff. But at least we had something to hope for. Like we had something to hold on to. And like, okay, so in the future, in like 3 months or 6 months from now, we're going to get this, this, and this, maybe, probably. And then, yeah, some people are going to get brokenhearted because their thing didn't get implemented. But removing that helped CAG, but also didn't really help us, the players or the player base, because yeah, it's we only know what's going to happen in the next patch, basically, and not the patch after that.
Upset was, quote, "It has become abundantly clear to us that despite our best efforts to communicate the fluidity of development and how features marked as tentative should sincerely not be relied upon, the general focus of many of our most passionate players has continued to lead them to interpret anything on the release view as a promise. We want to acknowledge that not all of you saw it that way. Many took our new focus and our words to heart and understood exactly what we tried to convey. But there still remains a very loud contingent of roadmap watchers who see projections."
Oh, you're not seeing Kira at all. What did you tell me? Okay. There we go. He's going to be on the left side. Most people have it on the right
their
side.
continued noise every time we shift deliverables has become a distraction, both internally at CIG and within our community, as well as to prospective Star Citizen fans watching from the sidelines at our open development communications. Now, if I was going to read through that, pick apart every single section, we'd probably be 10 minutes into the video before I finished, because I do think pretty much every part of that paragraph there just drips with passive aggressiveness, entitlement, ungratefulness to an extent as well. And it's pretty bad, honestly. If you cut through the PR of that, they're basically saying that they don't like the fact that people are trying to hold them accountable and being rightly so upset at the lack of accountability of them saying, you know, this is going to happen, and then it doesn't. If you followed Star Citizen for any amount of time, you know that if something is an X, Y, and Z of what you're going to get, you might get X, but it'll probably be late. You might get Y, but it'll be very late. And Z, you're still waiting for that 4 or 5 years later. So yeah, it's a problem. It's always been a problem with Star Citizen, and to say, you know, this is something that is wrong with the community and the community's perception of game development, I completely disagree with it. Really, really vehemently disagree with that. And on top of that, to call people, you know, roadmap watchers, what else can people do? They've been waiting for a fucking day.
All right, so I'm not like, I didn't get pissed off because they called me a roadmap watcher, because I don't really understand that. I don't see it as an insult. That's basically what we are, or what we were back in the day. Now we're not anymore, because like there's no point. We are like the progress tracker watchers, I guess. But the noise part is an issue.
Decade for this game. Like, I think everyone should be a roadmap watcher, because what else are you going to look at? Everyone's waiting for progress to be made, and while progress does get made, not at the rate by which you would expect from a company that's had, at this stage, $500 million. And of course, they've scaled up development. They've got a lot more developers than when they first started, and they are faster with things now. I still think it's reasonable to say it's not as good as it should be. It's not as quick as it should be. And just to say, like, to focus on this part, to say the people that are upset or just having a conversation, critically analyzing what you've been doing, and to reduce that down to noise that's distracting you, that feels like you're shifting the blame of how far behind you are and how little progress you make at times to being these people fucking complaining about.
I don't think that he went like too hard, honestly. I know that I went harder because of this. Like, how are we responsible? Like, how are we, like,
you make at times to being these people? That feels like you're shifting the blame of how
are we the ones to blame?
Far behind you are and how little progress you make at times to being these people fucking complaining about what we're doing and the things that we've missed repeatedly over and over again. That's why we're making less progress than we should be, which is absolutely insane as a premise. And then of course this added section, as well as to prospective Star Citizen fans watching from the sidelines, that is basically saying, we want you loud people that are upset, that are trying to hold us accountable for our actions and to get what they've paid for out of us. We want you to shut up, because you're stopping new money coming into the game, and we want that new money. Which I don't know, guys.
I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that. I just think that, honestly, I think that it was like a miscommunication or poor communication on their part. Because at the time they were making just enough money, and last year was fucking amazing for CAG. So I don't think they removed it or they called us noise because they're not making enough money. On the contrary, they very well know that they're making money from all the people that they called noise. So that's why I have a problem with that. Like, I'm gonna say name calling.
Really fucking bad sentence to be saying when you're talking to a community. They've given you $430 million. Like, that's a crazy thing to be saying to that.
Well, of course, they weren't talking about the whole community, but they were talking about portion of the community.
Audience. But obviously, beyond this, it means that they're going to be changing how they use their roadmap, and we will no longer show any deliverables in the release view for any patches beyond the immediate one in the next quarter. So basically, this is going to change fundamentally how they show what they're working on and what the deliverables are going to be, so that you, the people who are paying for the deliverables, can't fucking moan about it. That's where they're at with this. Now, obviously, one of the websites I use quite a lot, Reddit, absolute dog shit.
People are not paying for the deliverables, but okay, they're paying for the ships, and that's the only thing you pay for, or the subscriber things and the paints.
Website that pretty much turns into an echo chamber almost always.
But you could see it as that.
The Star Citizen community, I've never...
Because, yeah, you're funding the game with buying ships and stuff like that, so they could deliver the things that they promised.
Really seen them this split on something. Whenever I see like a story come out that many people following Star Citizen but not heavily invested in Star Citizen see as controversial.
They were talking to that portion of the community that says anything which questions anything from CAG. I don't get it. Yeah, they were talking to like people that are critical towards the project, like I am, for example.
It doesn't make that many waves on the Reddit. I might be wrong on that, but just from my anecdotal experience of when I look at the dramas, I never really see too much of it on Reddit, and if so, it's usually quite downvoted. This is obviously people talking about it, and of course there are comments like, my apologies to CIG for feeling frustrated after 10 years and for distracting people from spending more money, which is exactly how I see this as well. And then people saying, you know, it's strange how the sales events and things like that aren't distracting, which of course that's a good point. And then this comment from James T. Sheridan is a really good one. He says, failing to deliver what you literally sold people on to the point you're multiple years behind your own timeframes is a legitimate reason for people that bought into your dream to be frustrated. Absolutely. Turning around and blaming the lack of progress on backers because they point out your consistent incompetence in failure to deliver on the statements you make, like Pyro next year, thousands of players next year, or 100 to 200 players servers next year, is pitiful. Absolutely agree. Heaven forbid that you be held accountable when Chris Roberts goes up on a stage at your own CitizenCon and puts up clear slides and statements of timeframes that go nowhere. This is all a big true at this stage. I would hope the developers get pretty distracted when the funds being used to pay them are being crowdfunded on the back of those statements with a clear indication that you deliver on those statements. This is probably my biggest pet peeve with Star Citizen in general, because as I've said many times, and some people will really
like I can't even defend CEG for this, honestly. I wanted to understand this, but I just don't. I still don't. Like, I can understand that they took out the roadmap or the, like, everything but the immediate patch of the roadmap. But this kind of behavior was not good. And honestly, a couple of days ago, we saw, like on Thursday, we saw ISC where they apologized for the launch of 318, and when they said that they're like not only sorry but also they're and Elliot was here in the like last two streams, so he said, like he himself said that. Yeah, like it hurts when you like work that much and you release it and it doesn't work. It really hurts, and then you have the outrage of the community, and it's bad. So the way that they handled that was very mature, but this was not mature at all, and I cannot defend this.
We disagree on this point.
It is, as you said it before, it's just poor project management. Yeah, it is. Like, does anyone know what the Misk Fury is yet? I don't think that actually exists, honestly. I think that was just like a troll thing that he said. One developer said that name by mistake. It was just a troll thing. Not on roadmap and an unintended leak. That I don't think it was a leak, honestly. I think that, like, if anything, maybe that's like a code name for a ship that they're working on. Because, like, if you think about it, none of the MISC ships, like, you have the Reliant, you have the Prospector, the Starfarer, the, what else? Freelancer. You have a bunch of, like, the Odyssey, etc. Where does, like, Fury, the naming just doesn't fit MISC. It just doesn't go with MISC. So maybe it was just like a code word, like a name of the project, maybe. But also, I think it was just like a troll, honestly. You don't even look at the roadmap anymore? Yeah, me neither. There's no point. Like, you have videos and we will know. Like, the only thing that you could potentially look at is a progress tracker, but it doesn't really tell you anything. Like, you can see that they worked on something and they stopped. And then, like, what is the, like, when is that going to come? Well, that could come in the next patch, but also that could come in like a couple of years, because that, like, whole thing could be waiting for like some new tech. So yeah,
Kickstarter, and some people funded Star Citizen on it's going to be A, and then it got to the point where it was like A might come next year, and they said, oh, how about if we do B? And a lot of people voted that said, yeah, we'll do B, expecting it's probably going to take 3-4 years longer to get a better product that costs more money. But a lot of people funded for A, right? And they are people that should be rightly upset that they didn't.
Sorry, Kira, but that's how democracy works. That's how, like, crowdfunding works. The crowd votes, and whoever wins.
And then obviously, as Star Citizen's progressed towards B, they've consistently moved the goalposts, not delivered on things that people are paid for all the way along that time frame of 10 years. And
like, whenever I hear
things that they just don't have, give me money.
That, like, I didn't vote for the Planet Tech or whatever. Well, were you around back then? And if you were, did you vote? And if you did, also, who cares? Because your vote lost, and this is what, like, most of the community wants. And honestly, this whole thing is amazing.
Now, and I'll give you this thing in a year, and then a year later they don't have that thing, but they were happy to take your money a year prior, and they've been doing this now for a decade. That's a problem. It's been a problem in crowdfunding, specifically in the MMO genre, and this is particularly an issue when you are so bloated as a company that you burn through money so quickly that you've probably got like 6 to 12 months of runway before you just run out of money. And that's if people continue to fund you a reasonable amount. If the funding starts dipping to the point where you're losing money every month, this project could literally just stop existing. They'd have to release it as is and hope that they could earn enough money, and they would.
But it's already released, Kira. Come on. But also, I don't think that it's ever going to stop existing. Even if CEG gets into like into some financial troubles, I'm pretty sure that they will like turn towards private investors.
Actually have to fire hundreds and
which
hundreds
will be
of
a
people,
pain in the ass for
studios.
Them. Don't get me wrong.
That would slow the progress down to a crawl again. Plus, it's like a snowball rolling downhill. It obviously, as it gains traction and you start seeing the headlines of, Cloud Imperium Games, Star Citizen fires 200 developers and closes 2 studios. Obviously, that wouldn't be good, and it would obviously it could literally kill the game. So this is the problem, right? The community have put themselves in a position, and CIG have put themselves in a position whereby they cannot be held accountable. Literally, the people funding the game cannot hold CIG accountable, because if they do...
What as bad as 318 has been really looking at Spaceborne too pretty hard. Yeah, but it's made, like, you can see that it's made by a single developer, so...
The game could legitimately just stop existing, and they're $450 million out of pocket as a whole, and that's literally how it goes. So what can you do if you can't stop giving them money because the game might stop existing? Well, you can talk about it. But this is the official stance of CIG, saying, if you're talking about it, you're hurting us and the noise is distracting us, so it's your fault we're not making progress, and it's your fault we'll not be getting more money, which means that, you're putting the game at risk. I think shifting that blame onto the audience...
So first of all, I don't think that they will have any issues with money, with the income in this year or the next year. Although this year could be a year that defines what the community thinks about Star Citizen. So I guess we'll see with the next year, but I'm pretty sure that this year is going to be like the best year ever for CAG, as per usual, because every year is the best year for CAG. Like when it comes to like finances and the money that they got from the backers. But I don't think like he's shifting blame now. I don't think that they ever actually thought that we are hurting them in any way, like financially.
Making progress, and it's your fault. We'll not be getting more money, which means that you're putting the game at risk.
If this defines, they aren't starting the year in the best way, are they? Unfortunately not, but we will see what happens the whole year, because like this year we were supposed to get 4.0 this year. So if we get it by the end of the year, maybe, probably not, then we need to see some actual progress and something that is in a much better state, some new game loops and new stuff that will keep us busy until we get 4.0. And after like delaying Pyro and server meshing for I don't know how many years now, I know that even the people that are like hardcore fans are just like starting to be really skeptical, because like how can you like tell us that we're gonna get server meshing in like what was it, 2018, and it's 2023 now, and you're still talking about server meshing and how you're like working on it, and you still have like videos on, like you just posted videos on how you're like doing meetings about server meshing. Like why didn't you do that before? Like what is this? But yeah, like PES was a huge step. Now it just needs to work, and then once it works, we need to see where CAG is going to take us from there. And for a lot of us, this year is going to be a make it or break it kind of a year.
I think shifting that blame onto the audience.
Dumb question. Are you a Fruity Loops, Ableton, or Pro Tools guy? Cubase.
It supported you so vehemently to this stage. It's terrible. It really is terrible. So continuing on, finishing his comment, he says maybe some backers are happy to throw $42,000 and not get anything in return, but somehow I think at least some people who throw money at your latest ship sale kind of expect you to deliver that ship within the time frame and the game to go with it. Absolutely level-headed, reasonable take, really good comment. And then let's look at the other side. Let's look at the other side of what people are saying. This thread starts out, and I thought it was going to be more in line with that comment we just read. Star Citizen community is delusional, and I'm getting tired of it. So from that title, I'm thinking, so far so good. Star Citizen community is, on some of these points, being delusional. But then he says, I'm an original backer from 2012. I've spent over $1,000 on the project, so I have a million reasons to get mad about CIG. We were promised a game in 14 or 15, and we're still in alpha. Major game features have been...
Yeah, but in 14 or 15, they started working on the Planet Sec because people voted for the Planet Sec. And that's like the thing that completely breaks every post like this. Every, like...
being delayed seemingly forever. So far, so good. He then starts...
Red Dead Redemption 2 took 7 years to develop. But it's a completely other game. And they already had an engine. And, like... It is a phenomenal game. I just want to play a game like that again, because like when I played this, dude, like Red Dead Redemption 2 is like one of the best games that I ever fucking played. But also, like one of the most immersive games and one of the most, or one of the deepest games, like with like so much depth and so much like stuff that is happening around you that you can like interact with. It's just fucking amazing. Star Citizen will maybe be like that at some point, but not now.
Moving into, even though I am someone who could be upset, I'm not upset. And the reason is, you all getting upset that they can't keep their schedule, guess what? That's always going to be part of game development. To this extent, no, not really. But our community keeps asking for dates. Yes, of course they do. When is X going to be finished? CIG doesn't know because they have so many dependencies, but the community keeps pushing them into giving out dates. So they give out dates and then they can't keep them. The community gets upset and asks about new dates. The idea that you're shifting the blame on the community for wanting to know when the game they paid for, the product they paid for, is going to be finished is fucking incredible. As a consumer, like, how are you taking the side of a company that lives and dies based on the money that you give them as a supporter of this product, and not in solidarity with the other people that have paid for this to this date, and just want to know when things are going to be done? I think that's a reasonable thing to want, or at least if not the whole game being done, when are the features that I've paid for going to be done, so the game's a little bit better, so I can enjoy it as much as I can while I...
The issue is that it's not really laid out as obviously as it should be, or properly, like pledging and all that. Like, I'm Serbian, I don't know what a pledge is. I didn't know what I still don't really understand the whole concept of pledging. Honestly. I bought a ship. Or a bunch of ships in Star Citizen. That's how I see it. Spare me with the pledging part. Tell me what I'm doing with my money. I'm buying a ship for myself, for the future, or for like this patch or that patch, it doesn't matter. And by doing that, I guess I'm supporting, like, most people are not going to spend money like that. That's the fucking issue. Most people are not going to spend money to support this project. If it was like that, it would be like a Patreon link or something like that. You would support the project, not buy a ship. Most people are buying ships for themselves. And then, yeah, if I support the project, I support the project, I guess. It's fine. That's great. But it's not really laid out properly. So we, the people that are not like from US or UK or whatever, that we could understand that we are supporting an alpha and like an ongoing project and all of that. And that's also like, maybe it is, but who the fuck is going to read out the whole like text that you get when you're like buying shit or ships in the game, in any game? Like, who cares about that? I agree. Next, I agree. And that's it. Fuck that.
Wait for it to be finished. I think that's a completely reasonable thing to expect, and to put that on the community, completely ridiculous. I remember all the people crying out when they delayed Cyberpunk, we want it now and so on. They released it with 1 year delay, it still sucked after nearly a decade of game development. Now, I understand the whataboutism here, that, you know, other game did something, other game bad, so we don't want to do the same thing, but nobody has to
comparing this game to any other game is just like honestly stupid. What's up, Ashism? It's just stupid. Red Dead Redemption 2, completely different fucking game. Cyberpunk, complete different studio and game and everything. Like, it's just like, why?
Nobody funded Cyberpunk for a decade, so it's comparing apples to oranges. And to say like, oh, one game released and it got rushed, I don't think it even got rushed by consumers, by the way. I think the shareholders and the higher ups rushed the game out, from what I remember reading from the behind the scenes. I don't think saying, you know, because this happened with one game, we should just not expect our game to be held accountable to any dates whatsoever. Completely wrong. And again, you've paid for this ahead of time. Obviously, some people pre-ordered Cyberpunk, but if you did that, that's your own fucking problem, right? You shouldn't be pre-ordering games when you don't know what they're like, when you've seen no reviews, when you've seen no actual gameplay from it from anyone who's a credible source. And then he goes on to say, and this is the worst thing, I think this is one of the worst takes I've ever heard, while still having a grain of truth within it. Star Citizen isn't a game. You are not buying a game. You are buying into a man's dream. I knew that when I bought it, and I'm sorry to all that didn't, but stop spreading...
Not gonna lie, this is the stupidest thing ever.
This negativity. You won't get the game one day sooner. I don't worry about any dates anymore CIG gives out, because I know they're pressured to do so. This game...
Dude, I have a dream. Like, I want to make, honestly, I'm thinking about, like, not even making money, but like making something that I would like to play. It's the same with music. Like whenever I get passionate about anything, I just go into like, how would I do it? And then I saw Blue Drake that made Harsh Doorstop with his community, and I was like, maybe at some point I will be able to do that, like the same thing. And even though Harsh Doorstop is like a free-to-play game, you can like support them on Patreon, but I would love to make like a survival game like DayZ, but not as janky as DayZ, and with like actual dynamic events that is only like what's it called, first person. So no third person camera, because that's stupid in a competitive kind of a game. And that's gonna be like super immersive and all of that, where you can build bases, something like a mixture of like the forest and DayZ. I would love to make that at some point. But who the like, you're gonna buy like, if you want to support that, you're not supporting my fucking dream. You're supporting your dream because you want to play that game. You want to play that game. You don't want to play my fucking dream, right? So this whole argument, this whole like points that he made here is just stupid. Because if you're investing money into something, you're investing because you want to do, like, if you're investing to like play a game, you're investing to fucking play that game, to like have that game at some point. You're not investing into a dream. So when we're talking about that, like, everything needs to be perfectly laid out, and they need to tell us, or they have already, what we're gonna have in the game, and that's good. But when you like steer off of that path, or when you like start doing like skill points, for example, because that's a new thing from like last CitizenCon, then like, but before you said there are not going to be any skill points, right? So that's like that's the issue of investing into somebody's dream. Now, maybe those skill points are going to be good. Maybe it's not going to be as bad as they said. Maybe those skill points are not going to be like, you know what they said, like if you have like your skill level high enough for like G-force resistance, then you will like be able to pull more G's than the other guy, which is completely like game breaking at this point. But maybe it's not going to be as bad as they said. But still, it needs to be communicated better, I guess.
The game is going to be ready when it's ready, probably the only game that can claim so, and I'm okay with it. This is what you get when you buy Starter Citizen, and if you thought otherwise, you are either delusional or simply misinformed. Now, this to me is an absolutely ridiculous comment to make. Starter Citizen isn't a game and you're not buying a game. Yes, it is, and yes you are. Or at least that's what most people bought in. You're buying into a man's dream of a game. And on top of that, a lot of people who bought in Star Citizen don't care who Chris Roberts is, don't care what his dream is. They simply read the words, this is what you will get for your money, and they want that thing, so they give money. So they are literally like buying into a game. Even if it wasn't a game and it was just a product, and you want to look at it from that angle, they're looking at what a product description is, a promise of what the product will be, and then giving money for it and expecting that thing. They're not using, and somebody says this comment in here.
I mean, first of all, again, I gotta go back and like what I said. You're buying ships for a game, for yourself to have those ships. Most people are not buying ships to support anyone. They're buying ships because they want those ships. Maybe like 5% of people are gonna buy stuff in the game just to support it, like to support the developers. In the end, yes, that is supporting the developers by buying ships, yes. But most people are buying that because of like they want those ships, and that's it. It's not even greedy. It's just like, I want that ship in my game.
Using dream dollars to buy somebody's dream, they're using real money to buy a promised product. So that is exactly what they should expect back. And because you knew that going in, because you had a subjective opinion on what the thing was going to be and how development was going to be, is fucking irrelevant to what other people feel, like completely irrelevant. And to say that, you know, trying to hold the company accountable with actually talking about the critical failures and the problems is negativity and spreading negativity, like, I don't know, bro, this ain't it. You don't worry about dates anymore, cool. To say you won't get the game one day sooner, stop spreading the negativity, is essentially saying, like, everybody clean your plate off, get your spoon ready, and just eat the shit. Just eat the shit, don't talk about it. You might know it's shit, everyone else looking around might know it's shit.
It's not even that. It's just like them white knighting because they love the game and they love what they have right now in the game.
You are hurting the game, and it's not going to help you get it any sooner. I really struggle to believe why consumers feel this way. So yeah, there's obviously a lot more takes on this. There's probably much more nuanced takes than I can give as somebody who doesn't heavily follow the game. But I did want to talk about it. The issue is, of course, like I say, I feel bad for the Star Citizen community, even if the community have not been very pleasant to me when I have given opinions on the project at times. Obviously, there's going to be outliers and there's going to be people that are unreasonable in every community. I don't hold it against them in particular. Yeah. But they've got some big issues, obviously, right? They can't really do anything about the fact that the game's not being delivered in a reasonable time frame. And it does suck that if you do have that opinion that this is bad, this is wrong, and you as consumers should be against this, you do run the risk of being ostracized from that community, not just by the community now, the people that are really emotionally, financially, mentally interested and involved in this project, but also the company. The company is now saying, you know, you guys are the problem. You guys making noise and expecting us to be held accountable to things that we promise for money that we take from you happily. That's not good. That's actually harming the experience, and that obviously coming from the development team, coming from the people who run the game, that gives more ammunition to the other part of the community that are like, you guys being negative are hurting us and you're hurting the experience. And I don't know, guys, it's just a really, really shitty situation. There's nothing you can really say about this that's good. So yeah, it just sucks for the community. Either way you look at it, this is not ideal for a company to be saying, and it's not ideal to be having a community so at odds.
The thing is, they didn't really insult most of the people. Most of the people didn't find themselves in the, what's it called? In the statement when they called us noise. Because most people are not roadmap watchers, and then most people are enjoying what we have right now. Or, either or, like, they're either enjoying the game or they're like hopping into the game like every 3 months, checking it out, and yeah, like, I'll come back at some point.
With each other over something that is such a big deal. And yeah, we'll see what happens with Star Citizen. We'll see what happens going forward with this. But yeah, that's my take on it. Hopefully I didn't say anything that was too incredibly wrong. Hopefully there was at least a little bit of common sense in here. And I will see you on the next one. Stay safe out there. We're out. Peace.
Good. Honestly, at the start of the video, he said that he doesn't know everything about the project. And whenever we feel like we need to correct him, go ahead. So I like that approach, honestly.